In terms of style, I think the work speaks for itself, because as Viola's pointed out, nobody would be crazy enough to do this work, to ever take it on. It's too big, it's too heavy, it's too hard to make.
Larger than life is the scale of choice for artist Viola Frey. Over the past 2 decades, she has handcrafted hundreds of massive figures from clay.
She has taken the culture around her and reformed those elements into a totally original form of sculpture that define one of the great contributions to modern art.
We're on our way to pick up Viola Frey. This is more or less a daily ritual. Her main studio hours are usually from 9 to 2, and that's more or less 6 days a week. She'd work 7 if she could, but I'm busy the other one.
Sam Perry has been Viola's studio assistant for 17 years.
Hello. How are you this morning?
Over the past 5 years, Viola has suffered a series of devastating strokes, and now she is only able to work with Sam's help.
The main thing that kept her going, we would say, okay, you want to get back to the studio when you get out of the hospital, don't you? And she would always say yes. And that was always our purpose, Sam's purpose, my purpose, Tricia's purpose, to get the doctors to recognize that they needed to give her enough physical therapy so that she could get back to the studio.
Okay, let's lean forward.
In general, in the past 5 years, Viola has faced increasing physical challenges and accommodations to make the work.
I'll give you the blanket since it's a little chilly, all right? There you go.
Okay.
I'm gonna start on the lift, all right? Okay, keep them up. This is our low-tech way of giving her a table. She is always, the studio's been her home and her solace. It's where she feels at home. It's where she feels she's doing something meaningful.
Viola and Sam are now working on a series of pieces for a show opening in New York.
So this will be a big standing man. He'll be about probably 10 feet, close to 10 feet tall. What are we at about now, 7? From the wet clay up is probably about a month's worth of work. You can see how much we get on a day. It's about 2 to 3 inches at the most.
She's like so attached to clay. It's like clay, she's chauvinistic about clay. She loves it. Arneson had that, Volkas had that. A few artists have that who work with clay. And you have to have that attraction to it. It has to be like that important to you.
I'm gonna bring you around the back, all right?
Okay.
You can do one of these in 6 months, or you can do 5. Viola's always done 5, right?
Yeah.
You never work on one piece, only one piece, do you?
No. The process is so tedious that it's better to be working on more than one piece. No way of making some of this stuff fun, it isn't.
Viola began producing on this monumental scale almost 20 years ago at what is now called the California College of the Arts, where she both studied and taught ceramics. While there, she engineered new ways of working with clay. She realized early on that in order to make her figures on the desired scale, they would have to be cut into sections, then fired piece by piece.
All right. Close. Very.
After the sections are fired and glazed, they are ready for Viola to paint. Viola was born in 1933 in Lodi, California. Growing up on a farm, she was surrounded by strong women who became the models for some of her most recognizable and beloved works.
I think Viola clearly was preoccupied by man and women's place in the world. As she went along, she realized that the most powerful icon throughout history, throughout art history, was the nude woman. That trumped the business-suited man. You can sometimes see the large figures in two ways. As a figurine or a kitsch element that becomes something completely different on this scale and is amazingly high art, you know, where the breast sort of droops perfectly to gravity and the hair pools in the back of the figure.
This is what we call the vault. And these are all pieces from the last 25 years.
Viola Frey has been extraordinarily prolific, and the volume of work is indicative of the pace of change and the volume of new material that she has had to confront as a person and as an artist in that period.
Viola's always not wanted to be included necessarily solely in the ceramic world, as more in the fine art world or art world. This is the room. She does a lot of what we call slip cast, bricolage. We in the studio call them junk pieces, and that's her name because they're basically made from what she calls the junk of society. And that's what this room is full of, is hundreds of molds of really god-awful tchotchkes. There's certain pieces, you know, she'll always put a hat on that lady usually.
Viola was famous for scouring the flea markets and the cultural garbage cans of our land to find things that then she would remake as art. People have said that she read Lévi-Strauss' Savage Mind, and that she was struck by this notion of a bricoleur, someone who would travel around taking piece by piece and then rearranging things and remaking things in forms that seemed new but drew on ancient sources.
This is a piece that comes together in a way to, in my mind, discuss one of Viola's favorite themes, which is herself as a collector. This monstrous face hoarding all these elements from all these different cultures.
Want me to move you a little?
Well, there'll be men in blue suits marching around the column.
Viola Frey, I don't think, has a life apart from the making of her art. So I'm not sure there's a question of joy or sadness or anger or anything else. I think it's all those things. compulsion is probably thrown in there. The question could be phrased also, why doesn't she retire? I don't think that's even a possibility. I think as long as she can put a paintbrush in her hand, she will be making art.